After the elections of 1987, some people, especially the JKLF fellows, they went to Pakistan, and then Pakistan organized a full-scale proxy war through them. Because earlier, Sardar Qayyum Khan, who was the POK president, he had assured General Zia, who was the president, and he was the one who was the brain behind the whole thing, because he mentioned that all these fellows will not be able to hold on to it. But General Zia wanted to have something to do which would benefit Pakistan. So Sardar Qayyum Khan, who was a confidant on both sides, he was the POK president, because POK was to be used later for terrorism, infiltration and all that. He said, "Sir, I'll give you Kashmir in 2 installments. Firstly, already some kind of independent thoughts exist in Kashmir, so JKLF will be the best this thing. And then when we are able to destroy all the institutions of the Indian state and capture that, then this is likely to fall into the lap of Pakistan. It cannot go anywhere." Now thereafter, the first gun was recovered in autumn of 1988, because when these fellows went in the winter months, it's a very, this border, POK border, had never been used after 1947, and it's a very difficult border, up and down mountains and all that. But they had really organized the religious army, and also the full support of ISI and army and every one of them. So they were, wherewithal is also given by them. Even the targets were given by them. They were maintaining close communication with all the terrorists everywhere. So the thing was that first this thing was recovered by our J&K police. In fact, in those days, IB or RAW and others didn't know this kind of infiltration had taken place, or this thing. We also didn't know initially. But the first indication of terrorism was that 2 bomb blasts occurred in Srinagar Club and also in Delhi Telegraph office. So we took up the investigation, because I was the intelligence and security chief, and we took up the investigation rather than sending it to the police station, because such a thing had not happened for a long time in Kashmir. So Kashmir had been a peaceful place that way, because it was friendly to tourists and others. So when this thing happened, then we took up the investigation. Our very competent SP counterintelligence, Mr. Hamid Iqbal, he had known the other side also, and he was the person to be interested with this. After 2 months, he came out following various leads and all that, because we needed evidence of it. So the first gun was recovered from the kitchen of a mother of one BSc graduate in Kupwara district. Manzoorul Islam was his name. So after that, we recovered very many other guns also. We became aware of it and all. In fact, when we recovered the first Kalashnikov, we had to use the small arms dictionary to know, because nobody had ever imagined that this kind of a weaponry would be coming. Later on, the most advanced weaponry, including, rockets and this and that, were provided by Pakistan as it, because they had launched a war, proxy war, and they thought that it was a low-cost war after all those defeats in the wars. Because Kashmir, it seems to be in their blood and veins to be taken. An Indian state, which is a secular state, cannot ever, show any latitude over the security of Kashmir. Because if Kashmir goes away on the theory that is a Muslim majority population, then what happened to the 10-15 times more Muslims of India? The partition theory was already somewhat, broken by this Bangladesh division. So from day one, we knew that there was no chance of allowing Pakistan to take it by force. Earlier they were doing infiltration, so they adopted this. So first few months we started doing this, but then the exodus became very strong, and hundreds of people. And in terrorism, which competes with the state apparatus, if the fear is there up to a point, and if the terrorists have a right of a right hand, then what happens is that the state forces are reduced to that extent in their operational capacity. Or one can say that they were unfit, not really unfit, but they were actually overwhelmed by the kind of terrorism, the kind of weaponry, the kind of killings that were adopted from the other side. So after 6 months or so, because J&K police was also being targeted in the initial stages, they had already demolished the civil institutions, including the civil services. Radical Islam terrorism is a very difficult thing to manage, because it is involved in the social and political order of a place. So the locals started also supporting some of them, and the police was very demoralized, because most of them lived in outside places and all that. They were being targeted in their own right. And as I mentioned, Kashmiris wear a firan. So the guns were actually concealed in the firans, and even women and others used to transfer weapons and selectively kill people. So by selectively killing the most important persons of society and known personages, they created a fear psychosis in which in the early 90s, it was a very difficult situation which had to be brought. But I think part of it was resolved. No terrorism can succeed unless it is supported by some local groups and all, because the hiding places, the topography terrain, identification, the personalities identification, all these have to be by the local this thing. So it became, they thought Kashmiris in this thing, young men in large numbers went, and although we had requested the army and everyone, BSF, but even with that, the borders were very extensively used for infiltration. And once they infiltrated, they merged with the local units of terrorism, and then they became a formidable combination for this thing. As I mentioned, language was a big barrier for the central security forces, although their numbers were large. And police was also demoralized earlier because they were being killed and all that. Actually, what happened after that was that after 5-6 years, it had come to be established, terrorism, that we will tolerate it, incidents will happen and all. We became a little impervious to the killings in a way that the local politicians and everybody, the press and all, instead of condemning terrorism, which was by Pakistan, they started, if not eulogizing, then certainly favoring it in many ways. So the society and the combination of all the Pakistani efforts, this proxy war assumed a very difficult situation in Kashmir. And when the gun was recovered and all, we had known this, but many of them were found helpless with the kind of extensive terrorists spread out, and also the quality of terrorism which was enhanced by Pakistan after the first Hazrat Bal, this thing in which Pakistanis and Afghanis started controlling the leadership of local terrorists and all that. Whatever may be there, they had a single idea of carrying on their jihad, as they said that, because they were very convinced that they would be able to succeed in that. Sheikh Abdullah's time, there was no terrorism. Pakistan could not infiltrate because locally, politics-wise, religion-wise and everything, Sheikh Abdullah had a full control over the population of Kashmir. Bhutto was a little popular figure. He had argued in UN and other places, and he was a liberal Muslim to the minds of Kashmiris, that he would be able to, by convincing the international community and some others, be coming to their help. As against that, Sheikh Abdullah's politics was also moderate politics. The Jamaat Islami politics was radical politics. So as soon as he was executed, what happened was that they would not believe it first. But when it was announced in Pakistan radio that, he has been executed, so it was they thought that probably he would get a clemency or something like that. Suddenly, the Kashmiris rose as a class and as a as a society against the Jamaat Islamis. And they attacked their houses, they attacked their property. The common Kashmiris, if we could be saying, attacked the houses and the property of Jamaat Islami. And earlier we didn't know what was the Jamaat Islami fellow and all that, but people knew in the villages and in the rural areas and all. So they attacked them, and thereafter, since the Darbar was in Jammu, and it happened also in April month. So when Sheikh Abdullah came after all this, we were able to enforce this thing, curfew and all that, for 2 days. Whereafter it subsided like a flooded river, being clearing the excess of water. The emotions were all subjugated, and after 2-3 days, the whole thing was under our control. It returned to normal. But the destruction caused to various people, I took a stand that this was this thing. I got lots of cases registered. In those days there used to be only 3 districts: Anantnag, which was the largest district, Srinagar, and then Baramulla. Many districts have come out, dozens of them, after that over the years. So what happened was that we had to see, Jamaat Islami also had quite an influence in Anantnag district. So we went to Arvani village, where there was a bridge which connected Arvani village to the main highway and all that. So we were told that people came in lakhs and all to attack their houses, and it was a fact that the whole of Arvani village, which was predominantly JEI, was demolished to ground. And Sheikh Abdullah Sahab, he was a politician who could understand the situation. So when he came, he said, let's go, to various, so I must assess as Chief Minister what is the damage done and all that. Although he very well knew that it is his people also involved in that. So we took him to that village, and villagers shouted and this thing, but they could never, attack or create confusion with Sheikh Abdullah. It has not assumed terrorism situation as yet, because the government was very much in power with Sheikh Abdullah and all. So Sheikh Abdullah went there, and they said lakhs of people came, and your police was not there looking at some of us, our officers and me. So Sheikh Abdullah very suggestively told them that if you are saying lakhs of people came to you and destroyed your property, then it was Khuda ka kahar, that is God's will that you should reconcile. It was unimaginable that those people who had been devastated totally and being told by the head of the government that you reconcile.